I'm sorry. I pray that you guys have had an excellent day up until this point and that it continues to be excellent. If you have not had an excellent day up until this point, I pray that from this moment forward that your day get exponentially better, man. Hey, I've been watching quite a few Tubi movies here recently, and some of them they catch my eye and are entertaining. Some of them like, if they would have did X, Y, and Z, they'd have been okay. And then the others, they were just like, yeah, they can go ahead and do whatever with that one. But this movie right here, Surprise. I did a little talk about it yesterday evening, and a lot of people didn't like how it ended. Me personally, I think if they would have added about 10 to maybe between 10 and 20 more minutes on the movie, I think that it would have been, what I'm saying, a lot. It could have added more to what the movie was. But I think overall, the movie was pretty good. I give my rating at the end of this movie. But basically, on the movie Surprise, you have my guy right here. That's my guy right there, David, right? Like, he was the guy that was the husband, was successful, him and his partner, Greg, which we'll get to him later. Well, it started out with him giving one of the most awful proposal speeches I've ever heard in my life. Like, I don't know if he was freestyling or if he was nervous or whatever the case may be, but he had one of the worst proposal speeches ever. But anyway, his wife Jenna, with his girlfriend then Jenna, accepted the proposal, and they ended up, what I'm saying, getting married, whatever, right? So, and this is Jenna right here. You know what I'm saying? She was successful in her job as well. And this was David's best friend, Greg, who was also good friends with Jenna. So right, so let's get into it. So it starts off with, what I'm saying, them finna close the deal, right? And then Jenna says, "Hey, I'm gonna let you know these next couple weeks will be kind of hectic because we got a project that I have to finish at my job, and I'm gonna be late for work, well, late coming from work, and things of that nature." So he's like, "Okay, then, you know what I'm saying, baby, you know what I'm saying, I understand." So my guy right here, David, she was fixing him breakfast after she was telling him all that. So she walks away, and Jenna's phone rings. His wife phone rings, right? And it's Greg who was calling, right? So he looking, what I'm saying, at the phone like, why is my best friend, what I'm saying, calling my wife? He had that look like, well, hold on, what's really going on? So he answers the phone and was like, hey man, what's going on? He was like, well, happy birthday, what I'm saying, man, whatever. He was like, hey, why are you calling, what I'm saying, Jenna's phone? Right? So he's like, hey, I tried to call your phone to let you know about what's going on at work, but you didn't answer your phone. Now he said, I called you a whole bunch of times. So he said, figure I'll call Jenna and Jenna get in contact with you. But the crazy thing about it, he's like, oh man, I did have my phone on silent. He was like, okay, well, I'll be at the office, and we'll go ahead and handle whatever we got to handle. So we thinking, I'm thinking, what I'm saying, that that's it, right? So Jenna then walks in and she saw him put the phone down. She's like, hey, what's going on, babe? What's going on? He like, hey, that was Greg, what I'm saying, calling or whatever. And she had a look on her face like, uh-oh. You know what I'm saying? She just had like a weird, shady look. Like, she's like, oh, but what did Greg want? She didn't even ask that. She just had like this really shady look, what I'm saying, on her face, like, oh shoot, I'm busted or something, or I hope he didn't say X, Y, and Z. So they move past that, right? And she goes ahead and goes on to work. And then my boy right here, right? Like we was talking about it a little bit last night. And it was like, oh, he was insecure. He was insecure. I was like, man, my man was insecure. And then the more I thought about it was replaying the movie in my mind, I'm like, man, dude was kind of, what I'm saying, insecure because when his wife walked away or went on to work, he kind of was like, nah, it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing. Like he had to convince himself that his wife and his best friend, what I'm saying, didn't have nothing, what I'm saying, didn't have nothing going on. So when they was getting ready to they go to work and she's telling him like, hey baby, I'm not going to be, what I'm saying, at home. I'm going to be late because I got this project. She kept saying about this project. So he's like, okay, what I'm saying, whatever. So he goes to the door of his office, right? And he's looking and he sees Greg and Jenna laughing, you know what I'm saying, with the receptionist, which was also Jenna's his wife's best friend. And he was like, "Hey, what was all that? You know what I'm saying? Laughing about." He confronts Greg about it. "Hey, what was all that kikiing about up there?" He's like, "Man, we were just She was telling us about your wedding gift and why you ain't wear it." He's like, "Man, I was gonna wear it to the birthday dinner tonight, but I mean to the dinner tonight, but she's not gonna even be there because she got to work." He's like, "Oh, okay." So you know what I'm saying? We see that and they what I'm saying deflect off of it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But the more and more that the movie goes on, it's like this guy becomes more and more insecure by the minute. However, I will say this: his wife did not help the situation at all. His wife, man, she was doing some stuff. I understand that they was trying to. Well, we'll get to that later. But she was just acting real shady in what she was doing and what she was trying to do. She could have went about it 1,000 ways differently than what she really did. So he ends up, going on a laptop and he finds shady emails between Greg, his best friend, and Jenna, his wife. He finds emails between them about planning stuff and maybe we need to find another location and this trip. Then he sees where she has a trip booked to like Hawaii or somewhere. And at that point, all his suspicions that he had, he feels that they are confirmed. He feels that Greg and his wife Jenna, are messing around. So, to close the deal, they went out to a bar. Greg was there late, but my guy, my guy right here, David, he was sitting with two of the people, that were hanging out with him. And he gets a call from his wife say, "Hey, I know you're probably still mad at me because I couldn't come, but I promise you I'm gonna make it up to you and whatever." And she heard him and got off the phone. The crazy thing about it, how they played it was as soon as she had to get off the phone, my boy Greg was making a phone call, what I'm saying? So it made it seem like she was getting off the phone for him. But he was hollering at some other lady that he said, well, he was hollering at one of the bartenders and said that he had to leave because guess what? He had a date with another woman that he had met, previously. He was kind of like the player, He was like the player type, in this, in this movie. So that's what he ended up, doing. And the whole time I got David, he was just like, "Man, this ain't add up. Something is going on. Something is going on. Something is definitely going on." So this man hired a PI, hired a private investigator, to find out what's going on. And then he was like, "Hey, what are you going to do if you think what's going on is going on? What are you going to do?" So he really didn't know what he was going to do. So, excuse me, they end up the PI end up finding pictures of Jenna and Greg hanging out together and different things like that. So he's like, "Man, all the time she was supposed to be at this place, she was supposed to be in that place. She done canceled on me 3 times in a month. She refused to give me her schedule and didn't answer her phone or anything like that." So at this point, man, my guy David, he about to lose it. You know what I'm saying? He about to lose it. He come home one night, he drinking. Of course, his wife is not there because she's working late on his, on his project or what have you. And he's looking at the pictures, can't believe it. He's drunk as a skunk. So instead now this is what my guy Dave was wrong. He should have just went ahead and showed his wife the pictures and was like, "Hey, what is all this about? What is really going on?" Instead, he's trying to hide the pictures under the sofa cushion. So she walk in on him while he's hiding them. Well, while he's fixing the cushion, like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Uh, uh, oh, I dropped my wedding ring, and I was trying to, pick it up. I was spinning it on the table." She was like, "Well, why are you spinning your ring on the table?" So he flips it on her, "Well, you're coming here late again." She's like, "Well, you know what? You've drunk. You've been drinking. Let me get you some headache medicine or some pills that help you with this hangover, whatever you had." So they go to the room, whatever. She once again she steps away, Jenna steps away and makes a phone call and was like, "Hey, I think he's catching on to us. I think he knows what's going on, or I think he suspects something." Right at midnight, this was past midnight, where you sneaking off to make a phone call and to this guy, to his best friend. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, David hears everything. He hears everything, and he is like, "Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead, you know what I'm saying, and move forward with it." So he meets up with the PI, and when he meets up with the PI, he wants the PI to hook him up with a contract killer. Yes, he's finna hire a contract killer to kill his best friend because he think his best friend is sleeping, you know what I'm saying, with his, you know what I'm saying, with his wife. So the person he meet up with the contract killer. He said, "Hey, once you agree to this, there is no turning back from this. Do not contact me, you know what I'm saying, anymore. You know what I'm saying? So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna do this or not?" David ends up agreeing to do it. He says, "Well, give me a picture." He shows him a picture of Greg, right? David is like gun ho about it. You know what I'm saying? He's already made up his mind that, hey, my wife is cheating on me. She doing me dirty. I'm finna, you know what I'm saying? I'm just finna go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, and end it all. The contract killer said, "Hey, once it's done, I'm gonna shoot you a text saying it's done. After that, have no more contact with me. If you have contact with me, then I'm gonna turn around, you know what I'm saying, and kill you." The PI kept telling him, he was like, "Hey, once you do this, lose my number. And remember, once you do something, you can't turn it back. You can't turn back what you're about to do." David was so frustrated and infuriated that he was like, "Well, you know what? I'm finna go ahead and move forward with it." So he goes ahead and moves forward with it, right? So now they're at, you know what I'm saying, they're supposed to go to this dinner, him and his wife Jenna, or whatever. So he goes to the little bar, whatever, and guess what? It's a surprise party for him that Jenna and Greg have been planning the entire time. That's what she was trying to do with saying she was working late, with meeting up with him at these restaurants and stuff like that. That's what they were planning. I'll get to that in a minute. But that's what they were planning. It wasn't nothing shady going on after all. And David has hired a hit to kill his best friend. And at this point, the hit is already in motion. He can't call the guy and tell the guy to call it off. He can't do any of that stuff. The hit is already in motion for his best friend to be killed. So she was like, "Yeah," and she was like, well, he ends up calling Greg, and Greg like, "Yeah, man, I'm running late or whatever." And he was like, "Yeah, remember that little," because he had hooked up with some kind of flight attendant. He was like, "Yeah, remember that little flight attendant I got, man? I got you and Jenna hooked up with some tickets, you know what I'm saying, some round trip tickets to go to Hawaii." That's where that message came from, about, you know what I'm saying, when he looked in the email about the tickets, the plane tickets that he thought him and Jenna was going to go on. You know what I'm saying, they were actually for him and his wife, not for her and his best friend, as he suspected. So now he's freaking out, right? He called him or whatever. He said, "Man," they were like, "Man, just hurry up and get here, just hurry up and get here." You know what I'm saying? So he's hoping that he's able to get there. The longer it takes for him to get there, the more he's freaking out. So remember now, the contract killer said, "I'm going to shoot you a text that says done," when he's killed him, right? So a few minutes later after that, he gets that text. And guess what that text says? It's from the contract killer, and it says done. And my boy David just breaks down or whatever, and everybody, you know what I'm saying, he breaks down, passes out. Everybody's rushing over there to take a look at him to make sure he's okay. They're trying to figure out what's going on, because he was just happy when the surprise, but when he figured out it was a surprise and that he's finna get his homeboy, his best friend, killed. He was like, "Man, I really done messed up. This man kept asking me, you know what I'm saying, kept telling me, hey, once you press that button, you can't unpress it. Once you go forward with this move, you cannot undo it." And he did it anyway. But in spite of all that, there are a few things that could have been handled differently, right? to me, it doesn't take all of that for you to plan a surprise, getaway for y'all two, right? So my thing is, why couldn't they have been a lot more, not just discreet, but did it a lot? Why you got to meet him at a restaurant, right? Why do you got to meet his best friend at a restaurant to discuss, a surprise party and a getaway trip? Why you got to come home and say that I'm working on a project, and you coming home at 12, o'clock at 12 o'clock at night, midnight, you know what I'm saying? Just to say, to reflect that you're planning a surprise party, for, your husband. To me, it seemed like all that stuff could have been done during regular hours. Y'all could have, did the email. Well, he saw the emails anyway, but y'all could have just strictly kept the email, and instead of it looking shady, it'd be like, oh man, they planning something, for me. Oh shoot. Like, okay, yeah, the surprise would have been spoiled, but it wouldn't have been looking like y'all was creeping, on the, on the low, right? And so that's one thing that they could have did. Another thing is, once again, if she called him that night after midnight and was like, I think he's suspecting something. If you think your husband is is suspecting you of cheating on you with his best friend, why not go ahead and be like, babe, I know I've been acting real strange. I've been coming home from late. I haven't been answering my phone. It's been seeming like I've been acting weird. Hey, me and Greg was gonna try to surprise you with a surprise party, and we he ended up getting a round trip plane ticket for us to go to Hawaii, to celebrate, your birthday and stuff like that. She could have either said that and all that would have been dispelled. But nope, she didn't. She just kept it playing and kept it playing. Also, with my guy David though, David could have just showed her them pictures that the PI took. Obviously she would have been upset that he felt that he needed to get a private investigator, to follow her around to think that she was cheating or not cheating. Okay, then she'd be upset, big deal. But guess what? It would have cured everything that he was thinking about, right? It would have just taken care of everything. But guess what? He decided to hide the pictures, and do all this kind of crazy stuff because he felt like in his mind that she was cheating on him with, his best friend. And by all intents and purposes, guess what? It did definitely, look that way. So, it's really not two wrongs as far as how he was, I guess you could say how he was acting, because she was acting like super shady, doing all the other stuff. But from the get-go of the movie, it's like that, his insecurities was getting the best of him. Like what I got from it was that Greg was a was a was a player. He was a ladies man, and he thinking like, man, Greg a ladies man. What if he bagged my lady? You know what I'm saying? So it seemed like he was kind of insecure because after that time when Greg had called his wife Jenna, he was like, when she left and went to work, he was like, nah, it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing. Like I said, it's like he had to talk himself out of, nah, Greg and Jenna ain't got nothing going on. So if you're securing yourself, then especially with that being your best friend, you would be like, okay, I know that ain't going on, between those two, and everything is on a up and up. But he was battling insecurity, and then Jenna, she made it no better about all of the stuff that she was doing and the stuff that she wasn't doing, from her canceling on him 3 times in 1 month, coming home late, not answering the phone, different things like that. Like she was just making his insecurity just go from like a 5 to like a 15. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, how they playing that surprise party and that surprise getaway was piss poorly planned, because it definitely looked like they was cheating. Like they had something, going on. And once again, Greg was the ladies' man. Even when they was at the bar, the dude said, man, this guy always, getting a lady. He always doing that. And my boy David here listening to it, he like, man, he probably finna, get on my old lady, as well. So once again, they fed into his insecurities, from that. But once again, all of that could have been taken care of. But my thing is, the big thing that David did wrong, man, is he, he actually sat there and hired a contract killer to kill his best friend. Like, we know, like, okay, they probably was gonna get divorced, and obviously, well, you would think that him and Greg's friendship would have been, would have been done, right? Like, it would have been over with. But guess what? How about you just say, man, you low down, you a bleep bleep bleep, and you a bleep bleep bleep, and I don't want to have nothing to do with y'all. Get your stuff out my house, or whatever you got to say. Just confront him, right? No matter how it look, confront him about it, right? But he didn't. He went ahead and hired a contract killer to kill his best friend. But what do they always say? It takes two to tango. So after you killed his best friend, after you killed, Greg, then what you was gonna do with Jenna? Was you gonna act like, oh man, it's sad that Greg died, knowing that, you killed him, your plan got carried out, but he still slept with he was sleeping with your wife. If that's what you was thinking, instead of just confronting both of them, being like, you low down and you low down. But he didn't do that. This man insecurities got the best of him. Like I said, these two, especially her, Jenna, his wife, fed into it to the. I mean, when I say fed into it, she fed into all of that, man. Insecurities. Oh, got a few comments. Jacinta. This is one of Tubi movies I did like. It had a great plot, twist, and ending. Yeah, it definitely was a solid movie. Like I was saying earlier, a few people did not like the ending. I think that they could have added a little bit more to it. Like, why did he pass out? Why did he break down? Crying or whatever, to where it could have, gave a little bit more insight. But you know how Tubi do, we may see a surprise too. We know how they do. Whatever. 2020 podcast in the building. Please say the LLC. I think this movie was either 2021 or 2022. I'm gonna take a look again, but I know it was within the past two or 3 years that this movie came out. So, like I said, I know a few people that said they were disappointed in the ending, but like I said, with Tubi, you never know. We might end up making it to surprise three. You know what I'm saying? You never know, man. But this definitely was a, was a pretty good movie. Did it have some parts that had you like, they could have cut that out, or he could have did a little bit better job in that? Yeah, they could, but overall, man, I'm gonna give this movie like a 7.8. I'm gonna give it a 7.8, man, simply, of the fact that, like, some things could have been laid out better, as far as like the plot. Like, I don't get why he didn't show his wife the pictures, when he was sitting there getting drunk looking at him. Why did he hide them? Why did she, when she said, hey, I think he's catching on to us, I think he knows something, why didn't she just go ahead and tell her husband then that, hey, me and Greg were planning something for you? We tried to make a surprise, but we were just looking. I guess we was making it look too obvious and stuff. And I don't want you to think that I was messing around with your best friend, or your best friend was trying to mess around with me. And all of that could have been taken care of. All that could have been taken care of. But guess what? He went to the extreme, and he went ahead and, like I said, he hired a contract killer to kill his best friend. You know what I'm saying? Like normally it doesn't go down like that. You confront, because he was already being snappy with him in the office when he was in the beginning stages of thinking that, he was fooling around with his wife. He was already in the beginning stage of being short with him, yelling at him and stuff like that. But once again, if he would have just confronted him about it, then guess what? It would have been over and done with. He would have never had a contract killer and all that stuff. It can be assumed that his friend was murdered. I don't see anything wrong with the ending. The plot was designed to throw us off. If he simply confronted them, that would have been no movie. But the thing, yeah, that now that's true to what I'm saying, to the extent. But I'm saying, if he would have, like, confronted them, like, towards the climax, what I'm saying, of the what I'm saying of the what I'm saying of the movie. If he would have did it, like, right when she said, "Hey, I think he's catching on to us. I think, you know what I'm saying, I think that he knows something is going on. Right then, I feel like he could have confronted them, right? He could have confronted them, and once he confronted them or whatever, they were like, "Hey, this is what we was trying to do." And then they tell him, then they go to the party, right? Because we know the movie's called Surprise. So we go to the party, right? And everybody's there having a good time. And with David being, you know what I'm saying, so insecure and stuff, some ex of his shows up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like to me, like it should have been like another kind of surprise, not like the surprise because it comes from, hey, we're planning you a surprise party, a surprise getaway. You know what I'm saying, for us or whatever like that. That's where surprise came from. But I feel like it could have been, you know what I'm saying, like just another little twist and turn out. Then the movie would have sucked if he did that. LOL, it needed that twist. My thing is like we don't know like how it ended. Like it ended with us like, okay, did they find out that he had his friend killed? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the big thing. Is he gonna go to jail? Is he not gonna go to jail? Is he gonna lie and you know what I'm saying and say, because guess what? They're gonna like people are gonna be like, so well, how did you know that he's dead? You know what I'm saying? Why are you breaking down like how did you know he's dead? Like who only the person who could have called you was the person who would have been like did it, right? So he was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, you know what I'm saying, anyway, to where he probably was gonna have to admit it. So that was the thing where like, okay, like what, you know what I'm saying, what he would have done that would be a part two. Well, like I was saying earlier, you never know, man, with Tubi, like you all see how they did with this. They're up to the stepmother 3, and they still left the door open for stepmother 4. So I hope they're closing that door. But anyway, but this movie surprised, man. Like I said, I gave it 7.8, man. I just think they could have added about 10, 20 more minutes towards the end of the movie. But overall, man, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the movie. Um I don't know this lady's name, her real name, but Jenna in the movie, she played her role really well. She definitely played her role really well. Greg, um, Greg, well, like I said, he was the ladies' man, so his part was always smooth, you know what I'm saying, and low key and stuff like that. So he played his part well. I got David. He had his moments, you know what I'm saying, in the movie. He had some moments where I was like, okay, then, you know what I'm saying, he relaxed this. He had some moments where like, nah, he needed to be a little bit more of this in that part, or he needed to have a little bit more of that, you know what I'm saying, in that part. So like I said, overall, I gave it. Overall, I gave it a 7.8, man. But I'm definitely gonna be on the lookout to see if they have a surprise too, man. So that's my take on the movie Surprise. Like I said, it was one of the Tubi movies that I really did enjoy. Even though it didn't end how I wanted to end, I definitely still enjoyed it, man. Enjoyed it, man. So if y'all can check it out and let me know what y'all think. Let me know if y'all would have changed the ending or whatever the case may be. Like I said, I know a few people said that they didn't care for the ending or whatever. I just wish they would have stretched it out a little bit more. But just for the sake, not for the sake of the movie, but just for just the storyline, I just wish he would have just confronted him. I wish that she didn't do all that extra stuff that was unnecessary. Why are you going on dinner dates to discuss a surprise party? You know what I'm saying? Why you got to come home late at 12 o'clock, you know what I'm saying, midnight, you know what I'm saying, because you were discussing, you know what I'm saying, this surprise party and all that other stuff. That part, you know what I'm saying, I did not get, you know what I'm saying. If the plot was just to stay shady, then they played that to the T, man. So salute to them for doing it, for doing that, man. But like I said, a 7.8 out of scale of 10, man, for the movie Surprise, man. I want to thank everybody, man, for tuning in to this week's episode of Tuesday. Next week, man, we got a good one for you next week, as we will be discussing The Good Man. Well, A Good Man. That's the movie that we will be discussing next week, man. So make sure y'all tune in for that. If y'all haven't seen that movie, man, make sure y'all check it out. If we talking about plots and twists and turns and stuff that was like, make sure y'all check this movie out. A Good Man. That will be the Tubi Tuesday movie for next week, man. Same time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, man. Make sure that y'all go ahead and check that movie out. Trust me, it will definitely, you know what I'm saying, throw you for a super loop, man. So once again, thank everybody for tuning in, man. This is your boy, Mr. Wind Down Wednesday, aka the Tubi Kang, coming to you on this Tubi Tuesday. I pray that y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening, and I'll see y'all later.